Good morning. We're going to go ahead and get started. First of all, I want to thank you for being here. This is the Assembly Select Committee on Community and Law Enforcement Relations and Responsibilities. This is statewide assessments on interactions between people with disabilities and law enforcement. Mr. Wilson?
I'm sure. Can I pass this up to you? Or?
Absolutely. We'll have he'll take it for you.
And then maybe you can pass it to the audience. There's 1, 2. Thank you. I'm Bruce Wilson from If I Need Help, and I'm a pretty proactive autism dad. And my wife and I have a 16-year-old son named Jay, and he's really improving tremendously with therapy. He has autism, and he still is a wandering risk, because even if he gets out, he won't be able to identify himself, and he could be misinterpreted as someone on drugs or something along those lines. And so my wife and I created a safety net, and we have 16,000 families, probably the 6,000 or 7,000 in California, that are members of our organization. And we make wearable ID. Oh, let's see if this is. There we go. We make wearable ID, which I passed some examples around, and we have a caregiver-controlled special needs registry. So in our experience, safety for people with autism and epilepsy is a three-way street. You have law enforcement, you have families with people with special needs and caregivers, and you have the general community. And if there's a way for everyone to know that this is a person that has special needs when they're missing or can't communicate in a critical situation, it really puts people on the right page and gets people home safely. And so we have about, 60 different products of wearable ID, because everybody has different sensory needs. And my son, for instance, if he gets away from his caregiver, we need people to know immediately he needs help. So he has a patch on every shirt. And so that would help people know that he's a person with special needs. It also would help law enforcement, because law enforcement has seconds to make a decision, as you know better than I, on what to do about a situation. So if they see some sort of ID on someone, something that makes them think, well, maybe this is a person that has special needs, while protecting themselves, because officer safety is the first priority, they could perhaps approach the situation in a more knowledgeable way and create more positive outcomes. So we also, a lot of our success stories happen before it gets to law enforcement. When a kid goes missing in a Walmart or on the street, community members are finding people, and they're scanning our products and getting them home without police even being called. Let's see, how did I make that slide go? There we go. We also have a special needs registry that's caregiver controlled, and there's 3 parts to it. The first part is a public profile. So if you scan one of our products, you would see on your smartphone exactly what the parent or caregiver wants you to see to help their child and get them home. And most of our stuff also has a telephone number and stuff on it, so they can be called directly. And there's also an emergency question and answer section, which is the type of thing that an officer would ask in a critical missing. And so this can be filled out beforehand and printed and kept in a person's purse or emailed in an emergency, so that if their loved one were missing, they, instead of just not knowing what to do, they could hand the officer the information, and they know height, weight, and how to help people and stuff like that. We also have a third part to our caregiver control registry, which is a neighbor alert, which is like a flyer that you could print out in advance and go to your neighbors and say, here's my son or daughter, and they have special needs. If you see them on the street, this is how you can interact with them, and please call us. Here's our telephone number. That's the second part of the registry right there. Here's the Hello Neighbor alert. And everything's updatable in real time, and we're trying to make things incredibly easy for parents, so that a lot of the stuff is just set it and forget it. There's other people that do similar things, and that's really good, because I don't think anybody should corner the market in this type of thing.
So do the parents update it, or does the organization update it?
The parents do.
Okay.
And we have, we're working with various law enforcement around the country. We just started working with the New York City Sheriff's Department, and we're making a big order for them with their logo on it and stuff like that.
So I guess nationwide or statewide, more specifically, how many law enforcement agencies are aware of the program?
We trained 1,400 CHP officers last year in Southern California. And we're vendored with the Inland Regional Center and San Bernardino and Riverside counties, and they've been sharing our information with law enforcement there. So we're making some strides. So one of the things I was thinking when I was doing the training with my wife, Erin, who's basically she's the brains, I'm the technical guy. She comes up with all the products and makes all the contacts and social media and stuff like that. And so when we were talking to the CHP, I was thinking, we were saying so many things about each person with special needs is different. So what works with one won't work with another, or might work with another. And, so we were saying you do this and this and this, except, it doesn't always work. So what would I do for that? And I was thinking, if I were an officer, I would get permission to go in uniform to places where there are people with special needs. Schools, group homes, Special Olympics, therapy sessions, so that I could see how people that are providers interact with people with special needs. And so that if I see somebody in the street, I might think, wow, that's sort of like this guy I saw that time, and their therapist said, breathe with me, read my lips, or whatever they might have seen that might be effective. And so they would have some tools. And also the people with special needs, if they were used to seeing officers in uniform come to their schools and the places where they live, if they were missing, they might tend to go to a policeman if they're lost. They're like, I'm lost, I need to go to a policeman. And when they see a policeman, they would think, wow, this is a friend. This is somebody I can trust. Because what happens now too many times is that people with special needs think that the police officer is a stranger, because maybe they haven't met many police officers. And so when someone's looking for somebody lost, they could be hiding. And so if they, and there have been some, deaths and things like that as a result. So if a special needs person thought, police are my friends, and if an officer had a lot more experience just being around with people with special needs, there could be a lot of easy positive outcomes, and people that aren't traumatized, and good stories, and it seems like it would be an easy way to get good results. I guess that's it.
No, that's great. I wasn't aware of your program. It's I like it.
Oh, thank you.
I like it.
We also have a thing that we're talking to the Hospital Association about, that I was talking to Senator Wilk's office, who's our senator, that it's a little too early to really get into the details, but it could be a statewide missing persons database that everybody might be able to interact with. So I hope I'm not jumping the gun too much by saying that much, but it's in the works.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll bring up our next two speakers.